Hello and good morning. Welcome back to the breakfast show. Jose, how are you?
I'm pretty good, Neil. How's it going? How's everything?
Pretty good. I mean, when you're on vacation, everything's fine, and then you hear you hear some
Must be
good news.
nice.
You hear some good news from the market, specific stocks. What can go wrong?
Yeah. So, Neil, let me just shout out good morning to everybody here. Captain, we're definitely going to talk about this right from Joseph. Pretty sweet to see Micron raising guidance a month after earnings. We got Stevie, we have George, we have Alan, we have G over here. So good morning to everybody. David Knight telling us, he told us, guys, I'm heavy on Micron, and this is why. So we definitely saw a nice growth there. I don't know if maybe that's where we want to start off, Neil. It's been a pretty interesting weekend for semiconductor markets. Obviously, we're going to talk about this Micron news, but then we kind of have that fee
Tax.
the extra tax. So it was funny. Some people in my comments are calling it the mafia tax.
That's
From
exactly what I
Trump
called
to
it. It's a protection.
it's a protection mafia tax for the U.S. Chip companies. So definitely going to talk about that there. But Neil, I know you own Micron. Maybe you want to kick this one off for us real quick, unless you have something else.
Maybe you want to go quickly over the earnings calendar just to see what's going on this week. So today, Monday reports on Monday, of course. I think they're down already 17% or so. Not because it's a bad print, just a good print. The market was probably expecting a little bit more. After the close, we got some popular retail names: Big Bear AI, Oklo, AMC, AST Space Mobile, and Archer. As for tomorrow, that's a very interesting pre-market. We've got Circle, the crypto stablecoin company, C Limited, Pony AI as well, and then on the shoe slash apparel brand. After hours, we've got CoreWeave. CoreWeave is reporting after hours tomorrow. Rigetti, that's a quantum name. We've got Kava here, a Middle Eastern restaurant chain that's quite expensive. You might think this is a software AI type of name, but no, it is not. Wednesday before the market opens, I have no clue who those companies are before the market opens, but
no idea.
But after the close, we do have Cisco and dLocal. For me, dLocal is important. Thursday before the open, you have JD.com, Chinese company, John Deere, and I think that's Birkenstock, but that's about it. After the close, Applied Materials, New Holdings, Cooler, and yeah, Globant maybe is another name that's popping out there. But other than that, yeah, it's a interesting, quiet week, I'd say, earnings wise. Next week is much more interesting, I think, in 2 weeks from now as well. But
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
for this week,
Yeah.
I mean, D-Local is obviously in my portfolio, so that's one that I'm interested in. And then maybe some commentary from Pony AI with regards to Uber and the partnership there. Other than that,
Yeah.
not much.
N- N-
A core week.
Neil, do you follow Monday.com? I know you mentioned the stock was down about I think you mentioned like at least strong teen digits after
It's
earnings.
let's see.
It does seem like kind of the software
60.
SaaS market has been taking quite a hit during this earnings season. I still obviously think we're still early. I think most software companies do report later throughout this earnings season. Um, but what are your thoughts here on Monday and maybe kind of the software space, if you have any?
Yeah, so I mean, for those that don't know, Monday is basically that yeah, you could say SaaS, but more cloud-based work management platform. Um, the thing is, yeah, with SaaS names today, you might say that, oh, they're all getting disrupted because of AI, because of agentic AI as well. But I do think that's, I don't know, it's the numbers that they report are still pretty good. I think a retention
Mm-hmm.
rate still at 111%. Um, Guidance for revenue, I think for the full year is now at the midpoint a little bit lower than previously. So maybe that's why the market is reacting like this. But yeah, could again, it's more about question marks than bad reports. It's about, is this the end of their growth phase, and what are they going to do more thanks to AI? I mean, I think it's just an added value.
And I think you hit it right on the nail, Neil. I think most software companies right now, it's not that they're doing bad. It's just you continue to get that fear. What is AI going to do to your market? And I think the lowest hanging fruit for the AI kind of the bearish thesis on a lot for the bear markets are for these software companies. Look, AI is going to come. It's going to come and eat up your space. I mean, I don't know if you were watching, Neil. I don't know when you got to start a vacation, but GPT-5 released, and during the live stream, they kind of showcased that Duolingo, not the Duolingo, but that quick application that they created in a few seconds, and you saw Duolingo go down from like I think like 20% gains to like 13% gains. It still had a great day after earnings, but you definitely see that dip. Um, yeah, and we have Anthony Walker saying that we blocked them. Anthony, we can see your comments perfectly, so feel free to ask any questions around here.
Yeah, the Duolingo thing is interesting, right? Because it happened before, and then Duolingo, I mean, they reported incredible, incredible quarterly figures. It's one where I because I'm switching my strategy a bit with Intel. I think I'm just going to buy 2027 call options
Calls.
and
Yep.
use the rest of the cash as either to increase my cash position, or maybe open actually a position in Duolingo, because the
Man,
upside
that's
is going
another
to,
story.
yeah,
The whole
but
CEO stuff
that's it. Yeah, and he's meeting Trump today, I think. So
today. Hmm.
it's like this whole thing is crazy. But let's maybe let's maybe start with or continue here with Micron. Um,
Yeah.
so Micron updated its forward guidance. They said they expect revenue for the quarter to come in between 11.1 and 11.3 billion dollars, up from the prior guidance of 10.4 to 11 billion dollars. So quite a lot of upside from midpoint wise. And they
Yeah.
expect its EPS for the quarter will come between $2.78 and
Wow.
$2.92. Prior guidance was 235 to 65. So I mean, it's interesting, right? Because a week ago, we've had like those headlines, oh, Samsung says this and that, and some analysts say
Hmm.
there is already an oversupply. And we were like, yeah, but Micron already
What we're
just
hearing,
reported,
yeah.
like they just told us the whole opposite. And now this
And,
comes
and then
out.
just what we were hearing from CapEx, right? I mean, every company was saying there were AI server constraints still. So it's like you still had a massive demand for stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a happy holder. I mean, it makes
Mhm.
sense. We know why it did make sense. They like these comments. It was like,
You know what? It's really interesting to me with this, Neil. So first, you see a massive jump on the bottom line, right? You see a massive 10.4 to 11.1. That's about a $700 million gain right there. And you did see some growth on the top end, which is great, but you got that range a lot shorter. Before, that range was about $600 million. From bottom to top, now it's about 300 million. Not even, it's about 200 million. So a massive drop there. The other thing that I found pretty interesting is massive earnings per share jump. And this, I think, is a great way to tell the market, look, there's no need to worry about HBM pricing. I think that's what I would be getting. If you had a fear of HBM pricing or margins in HBM, you wouldn't see that type of massive jump in earnings per share. Especially, I think percentage wise, if we look at percentage wise, earnings per share is a lot bigger compared to prior guidance, compared to revenue. And Neil, have you checked the press release that they mentioned? What was the key market that was growing? Did they mention anything there? I'm
Let's
gonna
check.
guess maybe this might also be some bullish sentiment for the consumer space. Maybe the consumer products are also getting a little bit more love, and they're able to increase the prices in the consumer space. So, would love to see what if they shared any information. I'm also trying to pull up real quick.
All right. By the way, for the viewers, we are streaming in 1080p right now, not 720 anymore. So you are very welcome. You're very welcome.
That's what Micron updates gets you.
Exactly, exactly. You know the market is doing very well when we start upgrading the quality of the stream. Um, let's see if we've got here
So
some
I see they
details.
mention in the last line of that paragraph, this revised guidance reflects improved pricing, particularly in DRAM, which is mainly which is a crucial part for the HBM, and
Yeah.
strong execution. But they're not. I'm surprised they're not just saying HBM. So it might seem like maybe the consumer market might actually be picking up a little bit as well, which is, again, I think very bullish. That's something that we still had kind of not an over inventory, but some form of inventory headwinds. So yeah, congratulations to Micron shareholders. Is the stock up a nice amount, Neil?
Yeah, I think when I checked was up 5% or so. Yeah,
Oh, nice,
4.8.
125. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, margins. I mean, margins was also the negative story, right? Oh, margins, they're
Mm-hmm.
not doing well. We're now closing in at 45% margins here and ramping up. So HBM4 probably is going to be even better for them. But yeah, Micron has been executing very well. Growing, meeting supply, not overbuilding, not overproducing. It's quite a good story. Quite a good story for now. I want 4K. Uh, I I mean, I don't even know if 4K streaming makes any sense.
Unless you have a massive screen, I think.
Yeah,
If the
unless
viewers
you
are all watching in like a 100-inch.
exactly. So that's Micron. Good news. Good news for
Yeah.
Micron. Let's check on the markets right now. Europe,
Yeah.
Asia pre-market real quick. We can see
I think,
Europe
yeah.
is a bit mixed. Asian markets are all green, very green actually. Pre-market US, we are green flat greenish. I did also see that Paramount is buying the UFC rights for $7.7 billion, 7-year deal. So 1.1 billion a year for 43 live events per year. For those that are interested in that. Euro USD is now at 1.16 again. So, okay. Interesting. But the more no,
Before we start into the Nvidia thing, Neil, just two small topics, and I also want to hear some of your thoughts on. Well, first, I did see CoreWeave was up about 4% after hours. It does seem pre-market. I mean, I'm reading here, J.P. Morgan just raised their price target to 135 right before earnings. So there is some excitement there, especially after your baby
Nebis
Nebius
is
had a
up another
great
three
quarter.
percent.
Really, is it?
Yes,
Nice,
sir.
nice, nice.
Really quick,
Um,
before you continue, just so Anthony doesn't think we're ignoring him, because he's
hmm,
been talking about a very nice ticker here, Pew. This is basically a company that sells guns, so Pew Pew Pew. We don't follow it. I don't even
yeah,
know that if we are going to cover guns on this stream, we might get hit by demonetization
but
from
monetization.
from from YouTube. But yeah, it's took a hit. Apparently, it's reporting this week. We're not ignoring you, but we have topics we want to cover, and then we circle back to questions.
Yeah, and like it's definitely not a market we hit on too much. So I don't know how much we would be able to provide any info to. Um,
Correct.
but yeah, Neil. I mean, Nebius. I texted you on I think right after you were doing your show.
I
I'm a
texted
really
you.
you texted me.
Yes,
I was with the chat having fun, making fun of
correct.
you. That's what we were doing. I remember now. We had a great time in the chat while you were didn't invite me for that live stream.
You didn't want to wake
Um,
up.
it was a but great earnings. I am a small shareholder now. I nothing too crazy, but they did have a great earnings, and I mean, you guys were extremely too bullish for my taste. So I had to get in a little bit. Um,
I
but
did buy more at all time highs. The first time in a long, long time where I average up at all time highs in any name,
any company,
but
yeah.
I think it's worth it.
So yeah, so that definitely happened for and kind of is following that core weave excitement. The next thing I want to talk about is this Intel thing,
Yeah,
right? Um, Intel's Trump uh, tweeted, I don't know what it's called, truthfully, um, whatever he does in the Truth Social, whatever it's called, but on Truth Social he posted that Intel CEO is highly conflicted and he should be removed. I'm pretty not word for word, but pretty much he should kind of step down because
correct.
he's highly conflicted. The reason for the highly confliction marks were two major things based on what the administration is saying. The first thing is Li Bhutan does have investments in Chinese companies, and reportedly, some of those companies are tied to the Chinese army. We don't know exactly how direct or indirect it's true. They are. Those are based on the reports. Those are just investments he had till late 2024. We don't know if he sold out of any of them prior to becoming the CEO. But that was the first thing. So a nice amount. His response, Li Butan actually responded. He said, "Look, I've been in the semiconductor industry for such a long time, over 40 years. I'm gonna have investments all over the place, and sometimes investments might." Just like any position split off, and then I end up with other positions in other companies that go different directions. The second thing is Cadence at one point, just recently, on June or July of 2025, said that they were guilty for providing certain chip software to a company that did military simulations. And the current administration says, look, this means that Li Butan had to know something about that. I don't believe he had to know something about that. It could be, I mean, something like this, employees get bought off by government officials. They try, you get paid to do certain illegal things. But because you are a company, you are responsible for your employees, even if it didn't come from top leadership. You are responsible for your employees, and for them, it probably made more sense to just plead guilty to that. It doesn't mean that Li Bhutan was involved. Now, I'm not saying he's completely innocent either. I don't know the truth behind it, but it's not a 100% guaranteed. I do believe the third thing is a little bit more political. I mean, we saw Intel kind of reduce their investments in the United States. They mentioned they were going to slow down the Ohio plant due to it wasn't economically sound for them to continue to invest right now if they didn't have the demand. So they left that one open ended. We're slowing down a little bit, but if customer interest comes back in, we're willing to reaccelerate that investment. But I don't believe the current administration like that. I think they're saying, look, I mean, we want you to continue to invest in the US, even if you go broke doing it. So I wonder if that's probably the big issue here, that they want, the worst thing you want to see is a US chip company kind of slowing down during the current administration. It just looks bad. Um, Now, before I finish with this topic, I want to throw this random curveball that had me thinking. What if Lee Bhutan goes to the White House today and say, "Look, you have all these chip companies saying that they're willing to invest in America, that they're willing to have U.S. chips made in the United States, but I'm not getting any orders from them right now. You All these companies are willing to do it. You have the strength as a president and in partnership. Why can't you talk to Nvidia? Why can't you talk to AMD and tell them, look, invest in Intel manufacturing, and we will expand our manufacturing even faster." I do believe Intel could turn it around if they play it that way. And it, I don't think it's impossible. Would you think that's an impossible thought for me, or a crazy dream here? Even though I'm not an Intel shareholder, I can see kind of Intel CEO turning this around and saying, look, if we have more customers and you have people that need a build here in the United States, they should be writing purchase orders for a US fab. Now, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but with the current administration, I think it's something that they could do.
I mean, yes. I mean, after you've accused the CEO of being maybe, I mean, close to being a China asset, basically that was what the post was saying, right? It's also, I think it's quite ridiculous. I mean, the guy has decades of experience in the semiconductor industry, and of course, we know that the semiconductor industry, every company has ties to China, right? Every major company does business with China, right? All of the equipment makers do business with China. AMD, Nvidia, Intel, they do business with China, and so there are, of course, China links. Now, him being at Cadence for over a decade, of course, you're a CEO, you have to know, right? You have to know it. I saw that they had to pay $140 million fine. Okay, big deal. 140 million fine, fine, fine by me. But now him. I mean, I said it yesterday in my video. I found it very strange that TSM gets so much more respect and preferable treatment from the US government being a non-US company than Intel being the US company that's been investing $100 billion in the US and doesn't really get that much uh, respect from the government, other than attacks, some grants. But what was it? $8 billion. What's $8 billion when you're investing $100 billion? Nothing. Yes, you get some tax breaks here and there, but I mean, if you truly want a US foundry, then you have to help them, right? You have to help them, and I think it wouldn't be too crazy, right? What you're
Yeah.
saying right now, him going to the White
Yeah.
House, first of all, discussing the whole situation,
Mm-hmm.
actually saying, look, this is not true, this is what's going on, etc., etc. Second of all, maybe explaining the Intel story, like where
Mm-hmm.
they're at right now. We have been investing so much money, we're not seeing results. So us investing even more means that we're going to go under. And I don't think that's the good thing for the United States. And yes, I do think that, look, if everyone's committing so much to the United States, how come we have not seen many commitments come in?
Yeah.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe they'll talk really about some results, 18A related, um,
Mm-hmm.
etc.,
Yeah. And
etc.
mhm.
If
And
that's at least
Nathan,
Intel is doing.
yeah. And let me just say, with my thoughts, I don't think it's the right thing Intel can do, right? I mean, we have V Jose, I think, begging US for biz just proves it's a dead company. I don't think it's the right thing they could do, but I just think when the opportunity comes knocking, it is something that could become I don't think it's weird trying for Intel, right? If they want to get some US customers, and they also want to get in the great side, I guess, of this current administration. So I'm not for it, but I wouldn't be shocked if something like this happened.
Yeah, and I mean, it
Um,
started already in the previous one, because the previous
mm,
one, that there was this whole Chips Act, which we've talked about this before. This whole chip tax is okay, is good, but what was it, $50 billion? What's $50 billion for these companies? Like for TSM, it's nothing. Like the capex that we're seeing from one single company, Amazon, is twice that number.
that's
So
wild.
I'm and that's 1 year
Yeah.
only.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know. I just hope this meeting clarifies things around Intel, the situation with the CEO, the United States, the government. And then we'll see what happens. I don't want, again, we've seen so many stories float on X over the weekend about, oh, they need to spin off Foundry. Libutan actually was against that because the board member Yiri, which I hope they kick him out as soon as possible, he wanted to sell off and spin it out. Libutan was against that, which I like to hear that very much. The problem with Intel is the board. It's those people in suits, and many of them don't even have experience in the semiconductor industry. They've just been there, buy back shares, pay a dividend, and be behind on everything. That's their sole job. So yeah, the two newer ones have some experience, but the older guys, they all have to go. Like they all have to go as soon as possible.
Definitely, So, I mean, this is going to be an interesting one. It's when we're going to hear more updates probably in the upcoming days. As you mentioned, Libutan is meeting with Trump today, but I don't know if we'll hear anything today out of it. Sometimes we might kind of take a few of 24, 48 hours before we get an update on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they need Elon Musk to cut the fat because I think Libutan is cutting the fat. Since he came in, he like layoffs across the board. But the
from like 115,000 employees to 75 is his goal, right? That's a lot of fat trimming.
Yeah, but yeah, the board, a lot of those people just need to go because they didn't do their job. Like you fire CEOs for not doing his job, but you can also do that with board members because it's their job to make sure that things work. Oh, for sure. Same here. It's not even close. Like the issues at PayPal have mostly been fixed already right now. It's just the market not realizing it. But PayPal is a story for another day. Ariel wants to double down. I don't accept the bet because I agree with you.
Yeah, right. This is
I agree with you. So yeah, that's why I also want to buy long-term calls, basically leaps for Intel and not shares.
Will you? How far have you thought about this, Neil? Have you thought about like maybe what strike price you're looking? You mentioned I think long 2027 leaps.
Yeah, January $30, I think 27.
$30 is what you're looking into.
So it's like there is upside from today because today we're like $20. So
yeah,
it's not that expensive, and I do think that we could even see $30 in 26. So the sooner the better. But I do think that January 27, $30 before that is definitely a possibility once everything clears up. Because this year is 18A, right? Once we actually get 18A out and we see the numbers, I think the stock moves. And again, it's less capital exposure, same upside approximately.
All right, Neil. Let's see. Any questions before we But sorry, Neil. I was making sure this came out. About 23 hours ago, there was a tabloid UCCF Tech reportedly mentioned that Intel's 18A chip reportedly delayed until 2026 amid low yield rates, making large-scale production economically unviable. Thoughts about that? I mean, I think we heard from I just googled 18A Intel and went to and did Intel and did news. I mean, I think from what we've heard so far from 18A, 18A has been was close to starting volume production last we heard of it. So pretty weird to see things like this. Would hope to maybe get an update from Intel pretty soon on this, as this is definitely one of the biggest topics that always gets thrown around every few months, that 18A is bad.
It's always about the same things. It's yield, performance. It's news that has been circling around for quite a while. But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see with this one what the company tells us 3 months from now, next earnings report. But yeah, 18A is crucial, and especially it's crucial because 14A is the one after that. And if they're not really seeing traction, then 14A is again going to be an internal thing for Intel.
Yeah.
Now, this we both made videos about this already. This is an interesting topic. The Nvidia and AMD to pay 15% of China chip sale revenue to the United States. First thoughts, what did you think when you heard this?
I mean, I guess with the current administration, it's like it makes sense. It kind of makes sense of why they want to get it. It doesn't. What were my first thoughts? Let me think. My first thoughts was how would this impact margins? That definitely was my first thoughts. So how would this impact margins for these companies? Do Nvidia and AMD, and this was quick thinking, do AMD and Nvidia have enough money, do have enough margins in AI chip sales to be able to cover this? I thought yes. I think yes. There's quick reverse math one can do, but both these companies do have more margins than 15%. Because at the end of the day, paying a 15% fee, you're pretty much cutting 15% off, 15 percentage points off gross profits right off the bat. So you have to make sure that a company has at least 15% of gross profits to be able to at least be break even on this. Both Nvidia and AMD have higher than 15%. So one, at least this kind of secures that if US is getting money, they're going to be less restrictive to some extent, or less likely to ban these chips in the future, because now it's a form of revenue booster for them. So for them, now the US has uh you can say free skin in the game, that the more chips sold to China, the more money that comes to the US government. So that was the first thing. The second thing that I thought was, now as an investor, you have to value the Chinese market less. If you gave it a price to sales ratio of X, you have to, in my opinion, give it a 15% haircut on that price to sales ratio that you were giving to the Chinese market individual, right? Because this is only for Chinese chips. It has nothing to do with on the other ones. So just for that part of the business, you give it a 15% less price to sales ratio that you were giving it, based on the thoughts that you were going to report earnings. I also wonder, Neil, if this is why AMD didn't give us much guidance on the China market. They probably knew that this was happening, but if they would have given us guidance, I think analysts would have able to kind of looked at the numbers and done some reverse math and been like, wait, you added nice revenue from AI chips in China, but your margins are actually going a little bit slow, are dropping a little bit faster than expected. What's happening there? And I don't think AMD had the green light to kind of say what was happening. So I think for them, the best option was for them not to say a thing and just not include that in the guidance. Now I wonder if the upcoming days we're gonna get clarity on maybe guidance for AMD now that we know this is happening. So those are some of my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts, Neil.
Yeah. So first of all, I was like, okay, you know what? It allows them to sell again in China. 85% of the revenue goes to the companies, right? Yeah, last year, can actually check this really quick. Last year, AMD had 6.2 billion, and Nvidia last 12 months was 20.1 billion dollars or so from China. And so, okay, you know what? 15% of that number will go to the US government. Whatever they will do with it remains to be seen, because we don't know. But the question is, this like the structure of this tax that they have to pay? Like how does AMD and Nvidia, are they expected to pay this? Is this like a donation, tax deductible? What's the
Where in
deal
the line
here?
is it gonna go? Yeah.
Let's see if I can find it right here. So I pulled this from fiscal.ai, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So last year, as you can see, $6.23 billion AMD revenue from China.
Yeah.
15% of 6.2 is $930 million that they'll have to give to.
Well, remember, Neil, I mean, this is for AI chip sales only for the
Correct.
MI308, and I think they mentioned 800. They took a $800 million, 1.5
1.5
billion
billion.
second half, right?
Yeah.
So out of that 6.2 is probably closer to 3 billion, right? Just on AI chips for this year. I don't know how it was for December 24th, because I don't know when the MI308, but I do agree. This is at least a great indication of at
Of the
least some
big,
quick napkin math.
like,
Yes.
yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't go higher than this, of course,
Mm-hmm.
because the
Mm-hmm.
6.2 billion, they sell other things to China as well. But yeah, it's a price to pay. We also know that, by the way, none of these companies have made statements, right? I don't think there
Mm-mm.
are. So we
No, not even
released
the
this
government. This has been all on
on
of
reports.
yeah, of someone familiar with the matters.
Exactly. So AMD said that actually, first of all, Nvidia. Okay, I did the same thing here, 15 of 20 billion, but again,
Hmm.
the same thing applies here. It's up to $3 billion of a hit. But
Hmm.
remember, Lisa Su stated that it will take a couple of quarters to ramp up shipments once licenses are granted. So even in
Hmm.
Q3, they barely anticipate any revenue
Hmm.
from China, which is why it's excluded, and I think it's going
Hmm.
to be fine in the long run. But yeah, I mean it's I, I mean it's zero. It's either $0 going to China from China into those companies, or now 85%. But then again,
Yeah,
it was banned because of national security issues, and now it's unbanned, but you have to pay like a
yeah.
mafia tax basically in order to
Which
sell
kind of
there.
removes that fear of it definitely wasn't, at least for these chips, it wasn't a national security risk.
Yeah, it's funny because China now accuses the
Yeah.
H20 of being a security a security issue, and I think you said it
Mhm.
in your video that the Chinese might now say, actually, we're buying product from the United States, and 15% goes straight to the government.
Mhm.
We're subsidizing the U.S. government. We might not like this, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest risks. And Neil, right? You mentioned the past few days we keep hearing, and the past few weeks we keep hearing that supposedly the Chinese state media is kind of saying, look, the H20 has some form of backdoor. AI chips from US have some form of backdoor, so we shouldn't be buying. And then for our country, it makes sense, right? I mean, it's like, hey, instead of focusing international, focus on domestically made chips. I get what they're trying to do, right? I mean, they're saying, hey, look, buy China chips instead of foreign technology. But now you have this first that their state media was saying that Nvidia chips had a backdoor, and now you're going to have state media going around and saying, look, not only do they have a backdoor, but any Chinese companies that is buying these AI chips are actually fueling the US government. We're not sending the best of the best chips. If you were comparing Huawei's chip to AMD's MI300, MI350, or to Nvidia's Blackwell 100, Blackwell 200, or Hopper 200, this would be a completely different story. But you're comparing it to the watered down version. The watered down version does have some competition. That's why Huawei was able to gain market share. If there was no competition, then no one would be making chips out there. So there is at least some, not the one-on-one competitive pressure, but some competitive pressure from Huawei. So I wonder if China eventually wants to play the reverse Uno card and say, look, your watered down chips, we don't want them. We don't want them. We're paying the U.S. governments. We're funding them directly. We need to ban them for our national security risk. So again, I'm not hoping it happens, but it's
Yeah, it's
always
a
interesting to
hypothetical,
kind of, yeah,
speculative
yeah.
conversation here. Um,
And I get this. I got this a lot in my comments. So guys, they're just going to raise the price to by 15%. They, with the competitive landscape, you can't. You are seeing Nvidia and AMD, at least into the China market, not having the best prices. They don't have the pricing power like they do. The main reason, it's not the strong, the 100% chip. If it was the MI355, it was the Blackwell chip, I would say yes, they can just raise the prices. But for the China space, you're giving a watered down version with a little bit more competitive. You also have kind of the tensions between the governments happening there that I don't think they can raise the prices by that 15%. I think they could maybe do a single digit percentage point. You could see like a 2-3% price increase, but I don't believe you're going to see them try to eat up this by just increasing prices.
yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I still too many question marks around how this tax will work, because this is like a first of its kind. I'd say people would say, like, I got a comment, oh, it's just a tariff, like an export tariff, but it's a weird, like, see, you're putting exports tariffs on your semiconductor champions now,
Mm-hmm.
on, like, it's it's very strange. And again, I wonder where that 15% will land when they
Yeah.
report.
Lee Bhutan's going to be like, look, you got 15% for AI chip revenue now. You as a U.S. government can buy chips from Intel, and we can.
That's an idea someone floated this weekend on X.
Oh, really?
That the US should just take over Intel Foundry.
I think if for it to really make sense, it would be if this 15% is being taken away from U.S. companies for China chip sales, hopefully it gets used back for some form of AI semiconductor investment in U.S. land. Like maybe, I don't know, try to reduce the cost of energy or energy, like maybe a way to subsidize more data centers in the United States, a way to subsidize that involvement here in the United States. I think that would be then more beneficial also for AMD and Nvidia, because then you're going to have even more data centers being built out, and then you're going to have even more chips being sold out. So if that 15% is actually used to subsidize something here, and again, we don't have any updates, but if they're able to use some subsidies to build more data centers or AI infrastructure, I think it's worth the pay. And like other people have mentioned, you mentioned, right, Neil, 85% is better than 0%, at least in this market.
Yeah, again, we don't know the details. It's not an official thing yet. Those are just reports. None of these companies, not even the White House, has said anything official at the moment. So we'll see. We'll see if that money goes into like a fund, and that fund starts investing in infrastructure in the United States, and then suddenly, AMD and Nvidia will increase their US sales. Then okay, I guess it's a win-win. I guess it's a win-win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this is going to be definitely. I think I don't know if AMD has any investor events coming up. I know they usually tend to have something right after earnings, at least the first quarter earnings, but I don't see their calendar yet. Luckily, we do have Nvidia earnings later this month. Maybe they can paint a better picture of this. So we're definitely going to have to wait a while. Yeah, AMD's next event is September 3rd, so we won't hear anything from AMD's management unless they give us a press release in August. But September 3rd is their next AMD event.
You want to quickly touch maybe on ChatGPT 5?
I don't. I've used
Did
it
you
a little
try it
bit.
out?
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't really noticed too much of a difference from O3 Pro, but I haven't used it a lot. And I haven't tried out, like, I have a lot of prompts that I usually like to test out. I haven't done that. Any thoughts from you? I mean, it's just at the end of the day, innovation in AI continues to grow, right? You're hearing GPT-5. You also have now expect Elon Musk mentioned that not Tesla's, XAI's Grok 5 should be out by the end of this year. I'm just waiting for Gemini, Google to release something, because I do believe last week some of the Gemini and DeepMind people were kind of hinting that we might get some cool updates from Google this month. So I just want it continues to give us just that AI innovation. But if I may be honest, I don't think I have been blown out by anything from ChatGPT, but I haven't used it to its full extent just yet. I don't know if you've seen or heard anything, Neil.
I mean, based on the feedback that I've seen, people are quite disappointed. They want 4.0 back. And some people might actually say that GPT-5 has been released purely from a cost perspective for now, for OpenAI, meaning it burns less money than before, but it might not be as good as 4.0 right now. But yeah, Gemini 3 should come out later this year.
Yeah, I think that's unfortunately one thing that OpenAI did wrong with their AI models. They just released so many AI models, and I think users eventually found the model that worked for them really good. I think they had like 7 models that you can kind of pick, or maybe even more than that. Now you only have GPT-5. If you have the Pro, if you have the multi-$100 version that you're paying, you get 3 versions. You get 5 Thinking, and 5 Pro. But I think users back then felt like I was in love with this model, and this model did it perfectly. And now you're kind of you lost a lot of your selection, and I think that's what the market is definitely hating. But I do believe it's smarter for them to just have small amounts of models. It's probably better, like you mentioned, for a cost basis. So it makes sense for them. Hopefully they don't lose too many consumers because of it.
Hopefully they do, and most of them go to Gemini.
Go to
Um,
Unite. That's true.
no, but I've heard from Friedberg on the All In podcast. He said that previously users had to choose which model they wanna choose, rather the quick answer one, the deep thinking one, and now apparently the model knows exactly what you want. Like if it's a small answer, it will answer quickly. If it's deep thinking, deep research, it will take more time. So you don't have to go and change the models at the top. Which, okay, I think that's probably the way to go from a user experience perspective. You don't always want to go and toggle and say, oh, I want this model now, I want that model now. The AI system needs to know what type of question you are answering and adapt accordingly. Um, but yeah, Gemini is definitely going to come out. Gemini 3, I think, should be coming out later this year. They'll probably come out with another smaller update, maybe until then. But I think I've seen from Elon retweet or something like that. I think Gemini 2.5 Pro, the latest version, that's what was released in June, still beats Grok 4 on that exam or that benchmark that they're all talking about.
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, but Grok 4 will be number one soon enough. I mean, Grok 4 just came out and you can't even beat a model that Google released a while ago.
Yeah,
And it's
that
crazy
is
because
true.
a year ago, you would not have said that about Google.
Yeah. Yeah, no, last year, like, Google who? What? Bard? What is it called?
Exactly, Bard.
Yeah. Yeah, no, pretty impressive with the Google team. Again, yeah, I think GPT-5 maybe not the biggest breakthrough, except for coding. I think for coding and for like if you want to create like some form of application really quickly, it does seem like it's pretty good. But I don't think every user just wants to create some random app right off the jump. I think for everything else, and unfortunately that's going to be the case for everything else, most models have already been good enough. So you start to see maybe not a great excitement of things when you see an upgrade. It's only for those extremely unique cases where you kind of see those major updates.
Yeah, there was also that question that ChatGPT 5 came out, people are not impressed, the performance, everything, the results are not great. So maybe advancements and all that spending, what would it lead us to? Like AI spending so much money, why is every company's capex increasing so much if the results right now are not that, or the improvements are not before? Um, but then again, I think at the end of the day, we're still far away from having the end game or seeing the end game here for all of these models. Plus, I think, for example, Meta, they just acquired another company to make the end product the best product possible and the experience possible. It needs to be an AI that understands you, your emotions, the way you're talking, the way you want your answers. And I think those little things are what's going to be happening over the next year or for that. Of course, it's all about uh, you want the performance to be as good as possible, right? You don't want people talking with AI and suddenly 30 seconds you lost the user. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, but I don't think that ChatGPT, although users, I don't know how many of those billions actually pay, but it's not 2022 anymore.
Neil, one of my I read some posts and it actually made a lot of sense. Issue that maybe some of the other players don't, and is they're trying to do two things. They're trying to train some crazy foundational models, and they're also having the biggest user base in weekly users. So they have to, because if they don't do that, users are going to leave, but they need to continue to innovate. And the only way you can do both is by having a lot of AI infrastructure. Because if you're only giving your people like 10 queries per day, you're cutting off too much to save compute, but people are going to go somewhere else because they're using more AI models. So it's kind of the growth for OpenAI is a double-edged sword, because one, it's great for it's great for growth, but for them to continue to maintain this growth, they need to invest heavily in AI solutions. And the other two questions I also want to take a closer hit here. So Nicola, I'm going to take a closer look at this one. I actually do own this in my portfolio, but before we go there, someone was, we got to save somebody out here. So anybody has experience with day trading, is it actually something worth to learn? Luckily, Robert came here, wasted time. You can tell because day traders sell courses. If they were successful, they wouldn't need courses. I mean, let me just say, it's not impossible to make money. Highly probable? I think no. I think it's a lot easier to be a long-term investor. Just like anything in life, if easy gains means easy risk, so easy losses. So if you're expecting a big win, you have to expect big losses that can break down your portfolio really good, really bad. So the quick rich scheme always seems enticing, but for the stock market, I think the slow long-term investment is the best way to go. You don't get an Nvidia multi-bagger being a trader. You get an Nvidia multi-bagger being a long-term investor. So not for me. I definitely don't think it's for you, Neil. Is it, the day trading world?
No, no, it's time consuming, and for what? I don't, like you said, I don't think day traders would have caught Nvidia, would have caught Palantir, or any other or the other. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Do we
Let's see
have?
what else. I wanna. Let's see, Neil.
I'm checking the stream just to see if there is a delay.
Delay. Yeah, it's some people were saying that I, I don't see it here on Restream, Neil. You seem pretty good. You are not cutting off, but I don't know if do you know what you have it on your set to? Low latency, normal latency, or blah blah.
I think normal.
Normal. I think maybe if because I know you mentioned you're in a great vacation now that you hit 100,000 subs, so you're able to afford everything. Except good internet, Neo. It seems where you're at, not probably not. But you seem good here on Restream. I wonder if maybe tomorrow just change it
no,
to.
and even on my phone, I don't see the stream pausing. So I don't know. But
Before we have, there was a question, Neo. I feel like this one gets asked a lot, and hopefully it's not from Nicola consistently. And I've always ignored. I haven't ignored it, but never really talked about it. So, One Stop System, ticker OSS. This is a super micro cap stock, less than I think it's about $100 million in market cap. I do own, and I would say a very small position. I think maybe like the stock is trading at like $5, maybe like 2,000 shares at most that I own for this one. The It's interesting because what they do is, let me just actually share screen. I would say this is a high risk, high reward stock, like extremely high risk. But I'm only talking about it because Nicola, I think almost every time it's here, they talk about it. So what they provide is they make AI servers and AI solutions for the edge, but not just any type of edge. Edge is when you kind of you need to have that compute right on the product, right on. Most of it is kind of, as we can see, military solutions. So defense vehicles, also in commercial vehicles. But for creating AI servers or AI compute for these types of products come with a massive, massive challenge. These types of products, these types of vehicles that are being used via warfare, via commercial, they're always shaking. They're always shaking. They're in random temperature places, and they need to do research and development to make sure that the type of products that they have are able to handle the vibrations, are able to handle all these random shifts in the market. So that's why it's usually if it, but you need, let's say you're in self-driving truck, maybe you need the compute right on their solution. Maybe if you have some military aircraft, you need that AI server solution right on there, because you can't wait for it to go to the cloud and come back because of the latency and stuff like that. So it's an interesting market, but because of that, it definitely takes some delay. Like they won't be putting Blackwell chips or MI350s on these products right off the bat, because it takes months and sometimes even years to do the verification, the certification. So they're only starting to put like the Hopper products, Hopper 200, onto some of these defense movement devices, just because it takes time to verify that it's able to withstand all these things. Because the last thing you want to do is having a product put into one of these vehicles, and then due to the vibration or something, it breaks, and it can unfortunately end someone's life. So it comes with a lot of certification. It's an interesting play. They do have kind of government contracts already and government commissions, but it's not the heaviest grower. I haven't pulled it up on Physical AI to see the high revenue growth. It's a potential play here as we're moving into AI to the edge, and they have a unique way with the government, Nicholas. So I own it. I just want to share my thoughts. It's definitely kind of a high risk play, and less than 1% of my overall portfolio. But if it is a big winner, I could see it being acquired by maybe some other big military play, and it's a definitely interesting market for sure. So I don't know if anything else you wanted to know about it, Nicola.
Let me pull it up real quick. I did get an invite to try out Perplexity Comet. I don't know if as a Google shareholder I'm allowed to do it, but I'll try it out later, because you have to install the whole thing. So this is basically it. $106 million in market cap, 54
super
million
small.
in revenue.
Neil makes more money than this company.
Huh. I wish. Let's see what.
Yeah, so you definitely don't see that revenue growth right now. You would expect, hey, this being kind of an AI play, you would expect a bigger revenue growth, but for kind of some of the contracts that they go, it takes over time. And take care, V. Appreciate you joining us.
Interesting. We have 2 minutes until. Yeah. I mean, it's expected to reaccelerate, but then again, it's like super slow growth.
Mm-hmm.
Super slow growth. There was a question, a couple of times actually, about Fortinet cybersecurity, a cybersecurity company. Of 2 minutes until the market opens. I think this stock did drop last. Yeah, it dropped
during earnings. Yeah. About
so
a 20% drop.
$57 billion company, $6.3 billion revenue. Still expected to grow double digits.
Yeah. One of the things that I saw really quickly, Neil, for this one was their firewalls have kind of an end of life thing, and a lot of their firewalls were supposed to be end of life in 2026. And during the earnings call, they mentioned that a lot of the re-upgrades already, about 50% already happened. And analysts started to do the reverse math, and they were looking, hey, look, if we didn't have this refresh cycle this year, your revenue would actually have been on a decline. So it seems like the market is worried that organic growth isn't really happening anymore. It's more just if you had the current product, you want to re-upgrade because you don't want to leave. And that's creating a lot of fear, especially since 2026 or 2025 is one of the years that they expected a lot of that refresh cycle. They always kind of have end of life almost on a yearly basis for certain products. But one of the biggest products were going to happen now. And next year, you don't expect that same type of end of life product. So you don't expect that type of revenue from there. So the market is saying, look, if we weren't going to grow much this year, even though you're seeing a lot of end of life firewall solution recycle, what's going to happen next year when you don't have that tailwind? Are we going to start to see revenue decline?
Yeah, it seems like, I mean, last quarter was a pretty easy comp. It was up 13.8% on top of a quarter 7.2%, but yeah, not that crazy. The market is open, so
Nice.
Let's have a quick look at that. What's going on with the names? Last time I checked, AMD and Nvidia pre-market were down a little bit, not by much, but they were down a little
Monday
bit.
down 26% right now. Trade Desk down 2% after having a 25% day last
More,
Friday or Thursday.
I think
More? Was it more?
34%.
Holy smokes! Yeah.
Yeah. Iron is up 6.6. Let's go. Almost back at $20 there. Micron is up 6%. Nebius up another
Nice.
3%. Is that Intel that I'm seeing there? Yes, it is. Intel up 3.3, and the meeting has not even started yet. So,
yeah, pretty nice. We have Marvell up nearly 3%. Tesla up 3%. Let's see, what else do we have? Nvidia is down about 0.3%, and AMD down 1.2%.
Not much. Google is flat-ish, back to 200. Duolingo down a little bit, getting very interesting. Let's see, Uber flat, PayPal literally flat, 0.00 movement. Oscar is up a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, Trade Desk was down 38%. That was crazy.
That is wild.
But yeah, it seems like we're having Oscar. Did I say Oscar?
Google over 200.
Yep.
Even though Google, it's down, I didn't realize.
Google over 200 and G-Monster turning bullish. Exactly what we needed. I wonder why he's turning bullish. Probably has nothing to do with the stock being up. But Applied Digital, 14.4.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, so overall, pretty
not
good.
That bad.
Rocket Lab is down 4.5% right now. Oklo, Novo Nordisk at $50. Reddit having a rare red day, down 1.2, AMD 1.5. So yeah, overall pretty solid, I'd say, for now. I mean, the day just started for the market, so we'll see what happens over the next couple of hours for sure.
Florian, you can name it now. I don't know if I mentioned I'm a shareholder, so you can name it now. Small shareholder, but I'm a shareholder, super small.
Yeah, Nebius. I'll end with this, maybe thoughts on Salesforce. I think it's getting the Adobe treatment. I think it's undervalued. Might not be a super high growth name, but I think it's undervalued at these prices. It's a very good company, high margins, free cash flows. So yeah, it's getting the Adobe treatment, and it will flip. it will flip. The question is when. We don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know. Yeah. So with that, we'll see each other tomorrow again in the morning. We'll talk a little about some companies that did report today after hours, and then maybe we'll have some more news with regards to Intel.
Yeah,
AMD,
maybe a CoreWeek
Nvidia.
preview if anybody wants to see that. I can pull that up pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right.